And welcome to this latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. I'm Spitz. He's John Rained Out Masoni. We could both be rained out guys today
Yeah,
as it's raining in
definitely.
Boston pretty hard, and it's also raining down there in Venice pretty hard. But it's raining trades in Major League Baseball. We'll get to that in a little bit. And among the teams participating in the trades in the buying section are your Tampa Bay Rays. We'll talk a little bit about that. We've also got a lot of NFL news as the first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, is just 3 days away as we record this on Monday afternoon, right around 4:15. So there's still an hour and 45 minutes to go before the end of the trading deadline. So we might get some breaking news during the podcast. So we'll look forward to that. We'll also talk a little bit about the Rays specifically and some breaking news out of college football as well. The 941 Sports Zone presented by Carroll GMC. Our new sponsor, Monty Jacobs and the gang. Got the thing going right here.
There you go. Looking good.
That's right.
Representing.
That's right. Sales, selection, experience with car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Carroll can on the beautiful island of Venice. We start with high school football. I know we did a lot last week. We had our high school football preview, which is available if you just go to Vibrant Aspect Media or 941 Sports Zone. You should be able to find it without too much difficulty, but we have some news out of high school football. Of course, we had the news last week that Booker was looking for a head coach. Well, they found one late last week. He is a former USF standout. He was actually on the first USF team. Lance Holtke is the new coach at Booker. He has been very active on social media, John. I don't know if you've seen, he's had at least 3 posts that I've seen talking to Booker Nation and everyone, but that has not stopped the flow of transfers, as the last count I had was 21.
Yes. And, it was, again, not to go and rehash everything from last week, but it was just a very ill-timed situation. Not really knowing the logic behind waiting that long or whatever it was. It was never going to be a successful situation because it's impossible to look at a bunch of kids in the eye and tell them that their coach is not going to be there and expect them to think that things were going to be as is. It's a tough deal. The new coach has got to do a lot of things about like installing offense and defense and unless there's going to be a holdover from a lot of the other coaches that were on staff or whatever, maybe that happens. But irregardless, it's going to be a really tough situation because if they lost 21, they're going to have a real hard time putting out a varsity football team.
Yeah, they are. And it's offense and defense. So you probably got some kids that have never played before that are going to probably play this year. He certainly has his work cut out for him. Holtke, obviously replacing coach and athletic director Carlos Wood. There's a lot of controversy with that. I've been reading in the papers. He's under investigation. He's not under investigation. The Sarasota Police Department actually issued a statement saying he was. Woods categorically denies it. This is an absolute mess. And like you said, John, at the absolute worst time.
Right. And like I said, everything goes going. There's like everything's a two-sided story to this. I'm not, or I'm the coach. I'm not the coach. All the different things that are going on. And I don't know who to believe or where to believe. I would hope that we could believe the police department. You know what I'm saying? I would hope that would be the case. And, but up to this point, things we've heard, there's a lot of things we didn't know about for the last 4 months, or they were just rumors or whatever. But there's some of these that were being denied or look like they're coming out as the truth. Again, I don't want to get into this in regards to legal actions or whatever else, but it's just a really sad scene to be seeing this. Again, first and foremost, the kids in the program having to deal with this, the parents as well. And now having to bring a new coach in who, hats off to him. If he's going to have a lot to do in a very short window, Hopefully they're not going to have grandiose expectations, and those would be to repeat what they did last year, if not to do better. I just can't imagine that happening. I just can't. I think it's a matter now. It's just trying to keep whatever there is together, and hopefully the kids that do stay at Booker High School can have at least a good season, or at least a season that they can hang their hats on a little bit.
Well, the schedule's loaded. They're playing just about everyone. Their district is loaded. They're in a district with Cardinal Mooney, among others, Southeast, Bayshore. Yeah. Just to name a few. They've got two. Yeah, they've got 2 road trips coming up, out of state. I mean, they stacked the schedule as if they were going to be one of the teams that was going to be in that 8-team playoff at the end of the year, and now they're going to be fortunate to get a couple of wins, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Again, if nothing else happened except they lost their coach, that is devastating enough as it is. That's devastating, in some cases. But to be in a situation where everything is unraveling as fast as it is, it's a tough situation.
No question about it. So Lance Holtke, by the way, he doesn't have head coaching experience apparently, but he was on a coaching staff that won a state championship in Kentucky. So he's done some high level coaching. So, hats off to him for taking the job. He's from this area. Like I said earlier, he was part of the first USF team ever back in early 90s. Was very good at quarterback and started that program. And of course, that program is now well entrenched. And a lot of people think that they're going to go from the AAC to the ACC eventually. We'll have to wait and see on that. The new stadium is a year away. This is the last year for them at Raymond James Stadium, and apparently all of the suites and everything are sold out already over at USF. So great job by the gang over there.
Big city in Tampa. With Tampa, you're right in the heart of it. I understand why that would be the case. I mean, I would expect it to be the case. It's very hard. I went to school when I was at UCF. UCF played in a downtown stadium. It was the old Citrus Bowl, which was been a bunch of different names, and I'm not sure what the name is right now. Camping World and everything else has been whatever it's been. But anyway, it was fun. It was interesting, but it wasn't that on-campus feel. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, the suites are set up, and how I can really see the community really getting into and rallying behind USF, just like UCF did. So I just see a lot of the similarities there. So yeah, I think it's going to take off I know it's a little out in left field, but we're talking about other things. But to see that USF has had finally put the energy and the money into an on-campus stadium, I think the rewards to that are going to be tenfold. It's going to be so much nicer, better. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric, especially the first couple of games. Looking forward to see how that all works out. Very interested to see it. Very interested to see how it works out.
Yeah, 40. I think it's very similar to UCF's 45,000 seats. I think that's very good for a college. Obviously we've got these monster stadiums in Austin and Columbus and Ann Arbor, but I think this is a right size for this town. And like you said, I think the atmosphere is going to be tremendous, and I'm looking forward to it. Actually,
ironically, I'm going to do a little bridge here for us to go, but the irony is that USF got their stadium done, whatever the cost may or may not be. I don't know what the cost was, I should say. But we had another situation with the Rays, and they're once again, it's all of a sudden sounds like bad news again about stadiums and who doesn't want it and everything else. It's amazing how like Tampa can galvanize itself and get around USF and what they're doing, selling out like suites and everything else, like you're saying. And here we are with the best baseball team in Major League Baseball, and we can't get a stadium deal done. How many years has this been, Rich? 20?
Too
I don't
many.
know, 10,
Way
maybe
too
10
many.
legitimately.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad that, oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And then one city councilman says, well, my constituency doesn't really want it because they want to have a plus 55 rec center. Okay, great. But that's unfortunately, why not get this stuff together, get everybody to agree on something before it has to be this mess, a total mess of stuff. I don't know. They said, look down the block. They're doing it at USF. And now you've got this issue with the Rays again with the stadium.
Well, the good news is we're going to kind of make the smooth segue over to the MLB trading deadline. Apparently, the new ownership group has a completely different philosophy than the old ownership group. They're 2.5 games up on the Yankees, 5 up on the Red Sox. We got to start talking about the Red Sox being within 5 games of first place, as hot as they've been. They swept the Dodgers over the weekend in LA and did it in style. There weren't very many close games in that series. It was a lot of runs scored by Boston, but Tampa Bay made a move on Sunday during their game with the White Sox. They went out and got arguably the second best pitcher that was on the market in Freddie Peralta. Now you're saying, what do you mean second best pitcher? He was just 5-9. His ERA was around 5. But this guy was a horse in Milwaukee for the last 8 years. He was their best pitcher. They traded him in the offseason. He's in the walk year of his contract. So he's in the final year. So basically, it's a 2-month rental for the Rays. His contract is incredibly cheap. $8 million a year in baseball is like chicken feed, for crying out loud. So
right.
The Rays owe him like $2.5 million. But he does have the stuff. Let's get Kyle Snyder to work with him. I thought the Rays made a tremendous deal. They didn't really give up any high-end talent. I know they said they were 15, 26, and 27 in the Rays system, but the Rays system is not nearly as strong as it has been, John. I was very excited within 5 minutes of this deal. And like I said, once Kyle Snyder gets a hold of Freddie Peralta, I think the Rays are going to have themselves what a 4 starters they've got, huh?
Yep. Now you gave out details. I'm gonna big picture this. We've been talking about it. I've been talking about it as well. With you about what are they going to be? What's this ownership going to be? They're going to show us come this week today where they're at. They're the number 1 team in the American League. They had a little bit of a blip right after the All-Star break, but they've been playing well since then. The bats are still lively. One injury to what's his name?
Shane McClanahan.
Right. But it seems to be one of the typical. It always seems like they're putting these guys on vacation. Hey, go get ready for a couple of weeks and get that oblique looked at or whatever it may be. So I'm not too terribly worried about that. But you're out there and you're making moves. You're making moves that people like yourself, pundits out there saying, hey, not only is this a good player, but we didn't have to give up the whole minor league system to get this done. And that's
major leagues.
Encouraging. That means, well, it goes to the idea that, the system that's in place with the Rays management, they've always sort of been, crafty with things they did, but there was always like on the other side where they were getting rid of guys and compiling, equity or whatever you want to call it. They got guys that they maybe could down the road, we're going to do something. I just think that, I think to see management doing what they're doing in this situation, it's very encouraging for the long-term future of the Rays. I know it's one season, one trade deadline, but man, you start out and set the tone. You're up 1. You're on the plus side on that side of it. And I think that if you're looking at Boston, like you said, they're 22-3 over the last 25 games. That's insane,
something
right?
ridiculous,
That's a crazy run. Yeah. And beating the likes of the Rays and the Dodgers. They swept the 2 best teams in American League and the National League.
Yankees, they swept the Yankees. They're 14-0 against the Rays, Yankees, Dodgers, and another first place team. I mean, they're just rolling.
They didn't play the White Sox, did they?
Yes, and they swept the White Sox, who were in first place as well. Yes.
Well, okay. So that being the case, like I said, you can't stand still. You got to do this. And again, this team, the way they swing the bat, and I know it can use a few little things, but the way they swing the bat, oh my gosh.
Everything okay?
Are you there? I went blank for a second. Can you? Okay, I'm back.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
I was like,
I heard you say, "Oh my gosh!" Yes.
No, it's funny.
Technologies. I'm going to throw this laptop out the window here in about 5 seconds.
My phone rang, and I'm like, "What's my phone ringing for?" And I looked at it, and the thing went blank. I'm like, "What the heck was that?" Anyway, so just going back, they're making moves. I love the fact that they're making moves positively. They've got to get better in order to have a chance to win. I think this is a real opportunity this year to go ahead and get back to the World Series. And these things don't happen every year. They just don't.
Right.
Well, maybe to the Dodgers they are lately, but you don't get these chances every single time. And you're in a division that's arguably the toughest division in baseball. Just look at the heavy hitters that are in there, and you're on top, and you've got hot bats, and you've got a good pitching staff and an all-star closer. What more do you need if you can add a few more, an arm or two and a bat, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg in regards to money to that player, and not a lot of, it's not costing you a lot in capital you have in regards to players. I'm 100% behind this move, all the moves they're making. I did kind of think about something you were saying, how that was, hey, he's the 15th best prospect. He's the 30th best prospect. You know what that says to me? That says he's a pretty good AA player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because these
I love the philosophy change.
I get you.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. You don't, I mean, is that 30th best player going to make the Major League roster? What's the odds of that? 10%? Let's be fair. Maybe that, guys coming behind them, free agency is going to happen. All this stuff. There's no to think that those guys that they're trading away are the next guys that are going to be starting for them 2 years from now is not thinking the right way. That what they're doing is thinking the right way.
Absolutely. And a couple of other moves, obviously, with Peralta coming on, somebody has to come off the 40-man, and the Rays finally did it. They finally designated for assignment pitcher Craig Kimbrell out of the bullpen. He was basically pitching in games that were out of hand.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he pitched on Sunday in the 9-1 loss to the White Sox. You keep mentioning the bats. The bats were really quiet in the White Sox series. 3 runs in 3 games. They need to get back on track. And why not? What better place to get back on track than a trip to Colorado for 3 games as they start a 9-game road trip. But there's one. You mentioned moves, plural. You used the letter S. Yes. Monday afternoon, catcher Liam Hicks, who was supposed to be one of the prize catchers that were on the market, along with Rutschman. And I know the Rays had some interest in Rutschman, but the Red Sox threw the kitchen sink at him. We'll talk about that in a second.
I saw that. I'm like, that's what you can do when you're the Red Sox. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, you
mortgage the future. Yeah.
That's that.
They don't care that this is our number 2, 3, and 5 prospects. They're in win now mode. And I like what we're doing. So Liam Hicks, catcher for the Marlins. He's a little defensively challenged, but he's a good stick, and he's certainly better than our backup catcher was. So the Rays get stronger in that position. They put 3 prospects over to Miami. One of those was one that had some upside, but again, the other 2, not really anything to write home about. And listen, you got to trade something to get something, and I thought the Rays did a nice job there in getting Liam Hicks from the Marlins. So 2 moves so far, and as I mentioned, we still got a little less than an hour and a half as we record this live Monday afternoon, just after 4:30. Could see something else before the trade deadline comes, John.
It's entirely possible. I tell you one thing, I just kind of an offshoot of this, Rich, and I know we got some more free trades to talk about, but a lot of trading in your own division, that seems to be something that nobody seems to be
happening a lot
anymore.
Right? Yeah. No, you're right, John. You're absolutely right.
I'm like, wow, the Orioles gave away a a top-notch catcher to the Red Sox, I guess you're done. But why would you make somebody in your division better? You don't want to see that guy again. And so you never know if the deal's sweet enough. You'll make a deal with some people. Make a deal with anybody. It's not taboo anymore. But I was noticing that. I was like, wow, this is interesting. Some of the things I'm seeing.
Well, Rutschman certainly has fallen off the last couple of years, and they have a couple of really good prospects in their system. One that's about ready to come up, and one that already is in the major. So made him expendable. So he is now a Boston Red Sox. And like I mentioned, the Red Sox got rid of their second, third, fifth, and 17th prospects in that move. And of course, up here in the Boston area, you turn on sports talk radio, they don't care. They don't care if it's the number one prospect, if they were going to come up tomorrow. They want guys that are major league ready and right now, and certainly that was a position of need. The Yankees, I thought, made an excellent move as well. Luis Garcia, the number one slugger numbers-wise in the National League. They were able to get him again for just 4 right-handed pitchers. A couple that had a cup of coffee in the majors and really hadn't done well. And the Yankees think the same way. Garcia, I think, I know he has 23 homers. He leads in slugging the National League as he comes over. I think, the Yankees obviously need bats. Aaron Judge, there's still no definitive word when or if he's coming back. As a matter of fact, the talk over the weekend was Stanton's coming back first. Wow. That's saying something.
Yeah.
And of course, Bellinger going on the IL too. And I know they could have probably used a left-handed bat better, but a bat is a bat. So the Yankees got better, I think, as well. They made a couple more minor moves, to tweak their pitching. The Phillies, Luis Arraez was somebody that was thought to be possibly on the Rays' radar. Well, he ends up going to Philadelphia along with a reliever, Caleb Killian, from the Giants for 2 top pitching prospects. Phillies thinking the same way. Hey, we need major league guys and we need them now. Phillies are in a tailspin and they need to turn it around quick. They're currently the 6th seed in the National League. They got teams nipping on their heels. So everybody seems to have the same philosophy, John.
Yeah, but I think that I think this swimming pool we'll call the playoff teams right now. We've been in this swimming pool before, but we decided to go to the shallow end most of the time.
Right.
Now we're swimming in the deep end, and we're watching what it takes to be in that deep end, and they didn't hesitate. Again, you said there's probably, I bet you there's names on this list that they're going to say that the Rays probably were inquiring about a lot of different people. That's encouraging. You're not going to get, you can't trade a bunch of different guys. You can't do too much. You've got chemistry there. You got some good things going on. These moves make them better, but it doesn't upset the apple cart. I think they're still going to be like, hey, you got the same lineups going through. Cash doesn't have to figure things out. It's pretty simple. Every other day, maybe you have another catcher that you can throw in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then of course with an extra arm, an arm that's been around for a bit, who's been like you said, a workforce, an innings eater, whatever you want to call the guy.
Durable. He's not hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's to say? Right. You need. That's the thing. You these guys that they're getting. Again, you kind of know what's going on. There's no big risk in this situation. Again, not a big money outlay. You didn't have to give away a bunch of different players and team and prospects. You did a little bit here and there. I think the advantages far outweigh what you had to give up for them, and I think that this is where they're at. Dodgers making moves, Phillies making moves, Boston, New York, the White Sox made a big move. There's all kinds.
They made several. The White Sox are all in.
I know they went hard after some pitching, and yeah, I mean the White Sox they look legit from a team that year or two ago were winning 30 games or something. It looked like they looked like the worst team ever. I mean, talk about tanking. It was terrible. But that's kind of how it goes. I will say this to you, how this is shaking out, sort of a have and have nots scenario in Major League Baseball. A lot more emphasis on the managers. You know what I mean? I think not everybody's going to be even. You're never going to know about performances, and guys can get in slumps. We know how it's going to be, but I think good managers nowadays are maybe at a higher amount than there was in the past, where managers before the last maybe a good 10, 12, 15 years were just like, I'll just sit here and let somebody send a report down and tell me what the lineup's going to be, and then I'll just follow the formula that goes along with this. And I don't know if that's the case anymore. And I'll say this: heavy with this way of doing things is the Rays way.
Mm-hmm.
Get a manager that makes moves and can handle the bullpen and handle pitching, whatever it may be, and put a little more emphasis on that guy's what he's doing. Now, mind you, it's still a lot to do with what am I looking for here? Analytics, right?
Yep.
Still a lot of analytics involved in who, where, and what. But I think in the game itself, the actual games, I'm seeing more where managers are playing a bigger part than they were for maybe a few years.
And the Mets are having a complete fire sale. They are getting rid of everyone. They got a left-handed relief pitcher, Brooks Raley, went to the Phillies. Another one. That was another guy that was on the Rays' radar. I think if the Rays want to make one more move, they need a lefty in the pen, a reliable lefty in the pen. Right now, sure. They need a guy that they need to be able to bring in to get guys out from the left-hand side and even from the right-hand side in particular. So hopefully in the next hour and 20 minutes they can get that done. But and then there are teams that got schizophrenic, like Toronto. They traded Kevin Gausman to the Cubs on Sunday. Then they turn around and trade for a starter, Jose Soriano. Now Soriano has more club control than Gausman did, so the Blue Jays are kind of looking ahead. But it's really interesting, and it's been nuts the last 3 or 4 hours as we record this late Monday afternoon. The trades are just hot and heavy coming in, and clubs, you can definitely see which clubs are adding and which clubs are not. I'm very surprised, to be honest with you, that Miami's on the selling side.
Yeah, I am too.
Because they've got a shot. They literally have a shot to make the playoffs, and what they've done on Monday basically says management doesn't think so.
So I'm just looking up at the screen real quick, Rich. They're showing the Dodgers' potential rotation: Skubal, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Snell, and Glasnow.
Yeah, and
the last two, obviously, we're very familiar with. Their former Rays aces,
who are both on the IL, by the way.
Right, but that's why it's potential.
Listen to the Rays' potential rotation. You got Rasmussen, you got McClanahan, you got Peralta, and
Martinez,
Nick Martinez, who got lit up the other night, but certainly has been tremendous. He's been a great revelation. I'll put that starting four up against anybody.
Well, and I think part of the thing, like I'm saying, is that's if you're going to win, you got to have something that can match that, match it, because it's not always a foregone conclusion that they're going to blow your doors off with their pitching, but nonetheless, they're sort of a standard bearing scenario right there. And if you're going to come walking in with two good starters and it's not going to happen more than likely. But I do think that if you're looking at the Rays, I think that they match up with anybody right now as far as what way their lineup is. I think
especially in the American League. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I say getting to the World Series, looking at where they're at, the potential to get there is I'd say it's probably 65-70% that I think they can get there.
Wow.
I really do.
Wow.
I really do. I just don't look at any matchup right now that from whoever's in the playoffs that I look at it and say, wow, that team is way better, or we don't have a chance there, or we're going to struggle with whatever. I get it. There's going to be matchup issues here and there. I understand that. But I just look at the Rays and say, the way this is built, the confidence behind the management, the confidence to go and get some guys to go instead of looking and saying nothing and I do nothing. I think it means it's a huge deal. And I will say this, okay. Now this is not so much about baseball, the actual on the field stuff, but how about a home field advantage that is awesome right now? Okay. Yes. They have a home field advantage that they seem to be embracing Tropicana Field. Yes. I think how many games have you been to? I've been to dozens of games myself. It's a big warehouse, how it looks. It is what it is. But now but whatever it is, now it's becoming like charming about how about the stadium. It's like, it's good. It's not going to be there. We know there's an ending to this scenario with Tropicana Field, and they're already making plans to do what they're going to do with that property and everything else. But now all of a sudden you're embracing it. You're not worrying about being too hot. You got a controlled environment. Hey, you know what? They're hitting balls out. I like the fact that this team has become really good at home. I think there's something to it. Who's to say what happens in the playoffs and you get 30,000 in Tropicana Field, and it makes a difference in a clutch game where you're got a home field advantage. That's different. I don't think that I don't know if they've had that on their side too often.
No,
maybe late. We've seen playoff games where the game 1's not a sellout, but game 3 is. You know what I mean? Why? Whatever the reasons were, they didn't. But I don't think that's the case. I think you're going to see Rays fans show up, and I think, and again, this team itself is exciting to watch.
It is.
Yeah. So I think what do you got? I would say 6 guys in the lineup that you can go and say, oh, he can hit it 400 feet, or he's going to start something or whatever. It's not like, hey, you got 2 or 3 guys, and hopefully the other 6 can, swing at something and put it in play. I think they've got six legitimate guys that can really be rally starters.
Well, they've got a big 3 at the top of the lineup with
Yeah.
Yandy Diaz, Jonathan Aranda, and Junior Caminero. They've kind of cooled off. They need to get going again. And hopefully, like I said, this 9-game trip, they're playing, it's really interesting. They're playing 3 in Colorado. Then they go to Seattle, which is a cavernous ballpark. It's very hard to score runs and playing 3 there. And then they're going to Sacramento, a minor league ballpark where the ball flies like crazy. So definitely a golden opportunity for the Rays. They've not played well on the road. They're under 500 on the road. And the Yankees, let's tip our hat to the Yankees. They had a 10-game road trip against 3 playoff teams from a year ago, and they went 6-4.
Yeah,
just finished that with the taking 2 out of 3 on the north side. The Rays have to match that. If not, they're going to come home in mid-August, probably not in first place.
Let's just say this. Let's say what the Red Sox are doing right now is off the charts as far as the role they're on right now. Okay, so you would think if you're a person who plays the percentages that they're going to come down to earth.
Water
so
finds
its
its
level.
level.
Down to earth mean a little sub 500 maybe for how many games left in the season? I don't even know.
It's around 50, right around 50.
Okay, so 50. So if they went 25 and 25 or 20 and 30, or whatever you want to go do it, they'll still be way above 500 in regards to what they did since the All-Star break or however it may be. But that's going to make them lose ground to the Rays. The Rays stay on their path, and the Yankees as well. So I think the Red Sox are on a heater right now. They're just going crazy. The team I'm looking at, the Rays in the division, is the Yankees.
No question.
And I get
much better pitching. Yeah,
right.
Much better pitching.
It's the Yankees, and so that's the team you got to look at.
Right. I don't understand. Quite honestly, I'll be brutally honest. I don't understand how the Red Sox are doing it with that pitching staff. I really don't. I mean, Garrett Crochet has been on the IL now. They'll get him back, which is a big positive. And it looks like the righty's going to stay as well. But they are just mashing the ball right now, and mashing it with guys that you didn't expect to be mashing the ball. Rafael hitting 4 home runs in LA. Yep,
that's the part I look at. And you're right about the Rays needing to get their bats going. But looking at the 3 guys you just talked about, I look at them and feel more comfortable with those 3 guys to come out of a slump than that the Red Sox are going to continue hitting the ball the way they are right now. I feel like there's more. Those guys, the way they swing the bat, it doesn't look very mechanical. You know what I mean? Like some guys come with the bat and these guys, they can hit. They hit for power, from different angles and different kind of pitches. They're professional hitters.
Yep.
And they put the ball in play. I think that their consistency is there as well. I think that everybody's going to have ups and downs, but I think they're consistently very good. Whereas I think you're just looking at a team right now in the Red Sox that's just having an amazing run. It's going to catch up to them. It's just the law of averages. If not, then you tip your cap and say historic. That's what you did, was historic.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, here's a statistical anomaly, John. The last 4 seasons, after 108 games, the Red Sox 57 and 51, all 4 years. Different ways to get there. This year they were more than 10 games under 500 and have gone on this heater. Other years they got off to a good start and kind of faded, but 57 and 50 or 59 and 51 now after sweeping the Dodgers. But I saw that the other day and I was like, wow, that's hard to do. You can't even do that if you try.
But again, you are what you are. Where'd they finish all those 8 years, right?
Well,
depends. I guess imagine how, but again, I think that looking at it, it's the sustainability of what they're doing right now it's almost impossible. It is.
By the way, the Astros are back in first place in the West. They swept the Rangers over the weekend. They've gotten hot suddenly. And the White Sox have opened up a little bit of a lead on Cleveland in the AL Central. So taking 2 out of 3 from the Rays certainly helped there. And again, Rays rare series where they lost at home. We got another, according to Jeff Passan, just came through. Apparently the Rays, and I got to pull that back up, are acquiring right-handed reliever Tyler Wells from the Baltimore Orioles. So the Orioles fire sale continues, and there's another trade in the division. It's unbelievable.
Right.
So very, very interesting. So there's a righty reliever. I'm hoping there's a lefty reliever at some point, but nonetheless, the Rays continuing to buy, and I absolutely love it. All right.
I agree.
941 Sports Zone, presented by Carroll GMC. Monty Jacobson, the game. Gang, sales, selection, experience with car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Carroll can, on the beautiful island of Venice. They certainly took care of me when I was down there. I certainly appreciate it. And they are top-notch at what they do there at Carroll GMC. All right, let's move to the NFL. I started this blurb. It was as kind of a blurb, and it's just grown all day long here as a lot of teams are putting the pads on, Buccaneers included, at training camp. One of the guys that's not putting pads on, though, is nose tackle Vita Vea, and apparently it's sounding like the Bucs are going to move him, which is very disappointing. He asked for a trade early last week. Contract negotiations broke off. You can put that with Baker Mayfield and the fact that he felt incredibly disrespected for the contract offers that he received. He wanted more than 2 years. And I'm beginning to get a little bit concerned as a Buccaneers fan what the front office is doing. I mean, the defense has not been great. You take Vita Vea out of that defense, I think they go backwards even more, John.
So you and I have talked, a lot about Todd Bowles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have my opinion of Todd Bowles. I don't think he's a bad human being. I think he's a terrible coach. I don't think he's a very good coach. I don't know. It seems like that the Buccaneers are stuck in this sort of like eddy where they're just like they're not going very far. 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, 7. Whatever. They're not really getting further or making a big move. And the guys that are there that are asking for money, you're not quite sure if they're the guy you want to go forward with. Everybody's like saying, "Oh, pay Vita Vea, blah blah blah, for 2 years, and that's great." Okay, you know that, but what exactly is Vita Vea going to give you? If you want a guy who's going to take up space, he's big low to the ground kind of guy. Great. I don't know if Vita Vea is a splash player and deserves top 3 money at the position because that position is now getting near quarterback money with this stuff. Every time that like Jalen Carter signed, that just changed the whole market for those the defensive tackles. So is it not, I don't think it's worth it. I've heard some things people saying like, oh well, his mentor Ndamukong Suh, and Suh is nothing but about money and everything else. So maybe there's some poison in the well with that. As far as Baker Mayfield's concerned, just looking at the numbers, okay, the numbers of what he's put up the last couple of years, he's a top 3 quarterback. His market value is $54 million a year. That's the going rate. And to be if you're the break comes in the Buccaneers, and you think that you got a team that's going to be playoff bound, and you have a quarterback who's played very well, over whatever how much time, you make the deal, you get it done. But what's the hesitation? Where's the hesitation? Is it you think that Baker's not worth the money because based on his record and what he's done, he is worth the money. So let's say that he's worth the money. So what's the hesitation still? Is it leadership qualities? Although he seems to be a leader, he seems to be mature, way more than he was years before. So he's got the intangibles of sort of in that situation. Is he too short? Because he wasn't too short 2 years ago. Well, what's the problem? I think the problem is Todd Bowles. I think that, and I don't want to. So what's the biggest unknown? What's the one person that everybody seems to think that maybe shouldn't be in his position? I think it's Todd Bowles. And so what you have now is a situation that, Mike Evans left the Buccaneers for a reason. Okay. So now you've got a situation where, are you sure that giving Baker the big contract right now, that there might be a wasted year this year? Do you know what I'm saying? You said, are the Buccaneers totally in and saying, you know what? I'm comfortable with my coach. I'm comfortable with my defense. I'm comfortable with my whatever. But I'm good. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. I think the Buccaneers are stuck right here, Rich. They can't get loose of themselves. I think they look at it and they say, at best, we have a 9-8 coach, and at worst, we'll fire him week 7. Because he's not going to make it the whole. And where do you land at that point? Are you a playoff team? Do you want to give Vita Vea $40 million for over having 1 year that's just a crap? It just goes to crap. I don't know, but there's something that's making them hesitate, especially on a guy like Baker Mayfield, who's got. There's no argument from the Buccaneers to say that he's not a franchise quarterback for them. It's just there is no argument. The numbers speak for themselves. His character is better. He's shown that he can win. He's tough. Okay, whatever it may be, he's got all everything there. So not getting him signed is very peculiar to me, because you don't want to. Right now, you're kind of saying, well, we're going to play with the disgruntled quarterback who may not want to come back next year. Maybe it's going to be hasta la vista. I've got that when you said we didn't get the deal done. Now I had my agent shopping around, and guess who wants me? Whoever. That could be anybody for that matter.
Right.
Does that make it harder? And do you now sit back and say, I don't want $53 million. Let's say he has a really good year again. Well, I don't want $53 million. I want $63 million, because now I'm not giving you any. You cost me money last year, and we didn't get it done. So what are we going to do with this? And I think that there's an issue. And I'm again saying about Todd Bowles is an opinion. It's speculation. But what else would cause them to hesitate so much? I don't know.
I think it's a philosophical difference here. I think the Bucs wanted to sign him for 2 years, and Baker wants 3 to 4. And I think that's a main sticking point. I'm also hearing the AAV doesn't reach 50 million. And right now, if you're a franchise quarterback, 50 million's at the bottom end. So, and Baker, listen, Baker's basically said, we're not negotiating anymore. The good news is the last 2 days of practice, all reports out of Tampa, he's sharp. He's very sharp. He's not letting it bother him on the field. the 2-minute drill they did at practice on Monday in the rain. I mean, it was raining so hard they couldn't see the other side of the field,
Right.
and he hit 2 or 3 pinpoint passes in the end zone. So he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder again, which maybe is the Bucs' thought process. But at this point, I don't think they're going to get a long-term deal done. So now you go into next year, the Bucs try to franchise him, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be resistant to that, even though the franchise tag next year is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $55 million.
Right.
So yeah, it's created a situation, and it's, not just Baker, it's in the locker room, because again, he is loved in the locker room. He is thought of as the leader of this football team.
We talk about football. I always say it at all levels: coach and quarterback, coach and quarterback, coach and quarterback. You got to have both.
Mm-hmm.
You got one. You got one. But I look at it and say, what? I'm just, like I said, it's just I'm a Buccaneer fan, but I'm not. That's not where I lay my whole everything on.
Yeah, you're
a way worse team. Yeah, for a way worse team, and I would be very happy to have a quarterback of his
excuse me
performance level to be on my team.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be happy to pay him whatever the market value for a quarterback is. I don't think you fart around. When you find the quarterback, you get it done. You get it done. He's not Sam Darnold. Okay. Sam Darnold had to kind of show himself a bit and find his way, and he's made his way to Seattle, and kudos to him for what he did last year. Baker's shown what he can do. It's not a test anymore. His value is his value, and why you would want to mess with that, I just don't know. I just don't know, because you look around and you're still looking at rosters of teams. There's the quarterback. There's not. I will say you this: there's probably 20 quarterbacks in the NFL that are worthy of the monies that may be out there. Maybe, and I think 20 might be high. That number.
But, I would think more like 15, but go ahead.
But Baker's one of those guys.
Yeah.
You got him. He wants to be in Tampa. He said it before. He's I can't imagine, again, a couple of years, more in a contract. You're tying him up for 4 years. In 4 years from now, how old is he going to be? 35? How old he'll be. Still not old, terribly old for a quarterback.
Right.
And you'll have him he'll be cheap compared to what, in 4 years.
By then he will be, yeah. 3 years even.
And if that's the case, and let's say he underperforms and you want to get rid of him, he can say, "Oh, I want to go back to wherever." He's still got a nice contract with 2 years left on it. What's the deal? I can look at it from different perspectives. I don't understand what being hesitant for. I don't get it. Not at all.
Vita Vea, by the way, 2 teams apparently covet him. One of them is Jura and the Dallas Cowboys. And the other one is a team that also Vea likes very much, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. He has said if he were to leave Tampa, that Seattle would be his favored destination. So the defending Super Bowl champs might be dipping in to get Vita Vea. We'll have to wait and see. He had, by the way, the second most double teams in the National Football League last year. And even though he only had 4.5 sacks and, he didn't have any gaudy numbers, when you take up 2 guys, that means a lot.
Eater.
Yes.
He's a space eater, low to the ground kind of guy. And by the way, just real quick, Jerry Jones wants Vita Vea. Didn't he just trade like a couple of first-round draft picks to the Jets to get Quinnen Williams?
Yes.
So now you're going to have what? $90 million tied up in your 2 defensive tackles? That's fantasy football right there, dude. That's a guy that you think he's going to get Vea on the cheap because the Cowboys are okay now. The Cowboys and the Buccaneers are not much different football teams from each other.
Right.
And all they're you make comparisons. I mean, Dak's putting up numbers, so does Baker. Are they winning every game? No, they're not. Their
Right.
backfields are pretty good. They got
Mm.
they got good receiving cores. They're a lot alike. They're a lot alike. So I don't, but Jerry wants to, they don't want to pay Vita Vea $31 million, and Jerry's going to get him, and Vea saying he needs 40 million.
No,
And
I don't think it's going to be that high. But
he invested that much money in Quentin Williams. That's that's a guy who's like, I'm gonna go for it, whatever it is, and he's not doing it in a kind of a, I mean, the manner which he's doing is a little bit over the top, I think.
by the way, you mentioned running backs. I think the Bucks have a clear advantage there. Kenneth Gainwell, who came over from Philadelphia, has looked very, very good so far at the start of training camp, and of course, Bucky Irving is healthy.
Yep.
And that was another thing about Mayfield. He played second half of the year basically banged up all over the place, made no excuses. You didn't hear him at the end of the year, I'm going to go get this taken care of and that taken care of. Made no excuses at all. That's why I love Baker. I think that's why the fans love Baker, because Baker is a no BS guy. He's a no BS guy.
I think there was a point at Cleveland where Baker got a little bit too big for his britches. Mm-hmm. And I think he got humbled when he got shuffled around between Carolina and the Rams and wherever else he went to. He realized, oh, this is fleeting. If I don't act the right way and be a leader, then I'm going to lose out on a lot of generational money. And he figured it out. So that's good for him.
All right, a couple other NFL notes. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back for the Lions. They got rid of David Montgomery in the offseason. And Jahmyr Gibbs is in the final year of his contract, and he wants to get paid. So he is sitting in. You watch the press conferences with Dan Campbell, and he's like chewing nails because this drives him insane.
Sure.
And I'm sure he's of the camp. I mean, he's management, but I'm sure the Dan Campbell we all know are like, pay the guy, let's get him on the field, for crying out loud.
And listen, with running backs, I agree, especially when you got a good one. I thought, again, I'll say about the Jets. Like, I'll go a little Jetsy on you here. I was interested to see if they were going to keep Breece Hall, okay? Because Breece Hall is a really good running back. He can catch. He's got top end speed. He's a complete running back. And I was like, I saw them making some moves and whatever else. And then when they made the effort to re-sign Breece Hall, because here's why. Breece Hall might only have 3 or 4 more years left. That's what happens to running backs after 6 or 7 years. They fall off. If Jahmyr Gibbs is that guy at that level, you get it done immediately. Yeah. You slot that money for that guy and say, we're going to pay you really well for 3 years. And then we'll see where you're at that point. No big long-term contract. If they want top end money, they want to renegotiate, I'm more than willing to do it, but you're not going to get a bunch of years. It's just not going to happen. And that guy's a difference maker, and he can catch and run like Breece.
He's a home run hitter. We saw it in the Bucs game. I mean, he's a blur. He's an absolute blur.
Think how good Christian McCaffrey was when he was with the Panthers, and all that talent, and he's still talented. Don't get me wrong, and he can still make plays, but he's not the guy he was at that point. Imagine him and his heyday on a team like the Rams or whoever what a difference maker. But I think running backs, if I find a running back, I don't care what round he's drafted in, and he performs well for a year or two, I tell him, we're going to sign you right now for 4 years. We're going to give you real money because we're not going to fart around with playing around with franchise tags and this and that. The guy's that good and produce that much as a running back, I sign him and get him off his rookie contract as fast as I can.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Now let's go to the MASH report, if you will. Myles Garrett has missed 3 straight practices with what the Rams are calling lower body soreness. The team says it's just an overabundance of caution. If he had to play, he would play. But, the coach of the Rams has been one of those guys that plays hardly anybody in the preseason. He's definitely of the ilk. These guys, especially the veterans, treat them like they're veterans. The question remains: does 99 come back? And why can't I think of his name?
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. Thank you, Aaron Donald. Does Aaron Donald come back? And what a duo they would make. So Sean McVay this is his philosophy. Wouldn't surprise me if he misses a few more practices because this doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't.
Right. It's like anything else. You're not getting in shape anymore in camp.
No.
What camp is becoming install packages. It's like all those things. You're fine tuning for the season at this point. Mm-hmm. Hitting. Look, once the games start, you'll get hit enough.
Right.
You don't have to be like, hey, it was great to get my head knocked off in practice today because I'm looking forward to getting my head knocked off in week 1. What? There's no preparation for that. You know what I'm saying? There isn't. You got to be physically fit, ready to go, sound mind, body, whatever you got to do, and let the hitting start when that has to happen. Not, hey, you got to get used to getting hit. I don't know how much that really plays a role anymore. I think it's kind of, and plus with quarterbacks, if we're going to talk about hitting though, with quarterbacks, they protect them very much. So they're not getting slobber knocker like they did before. And guys on the line, that's just, they're used to being pounded on each other all the time. So yeah, I think that, again, preseason used to be, hey, we'll see who's going to make the team and whatever else it is, or to see the first string. Now, I think right now the preseason is no more than a way to make some extra money before the season starts.
Depth. Yeah. You find out where your depth is in preseason. Yeah. You find guys that are going to back up your starters. So I totally agree with you there. Newly acquired wide receiver A.J. Brown is practicing with the Patriots despite dislocating his thumb. Ouch.
That hurts.
Yeah.
He'll be better. He'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it happened in today's practice or yesterday's practice, but the news just came out. So Patriots fans, relax. Jadeveon Clowney's heading back to Houston, where it all started back in 2014 with the Houston Texans. Interesting thought there, because I think of the Texans, John, as a very fast, mobile defense. And Clowney's not that, especially now. He's been in the league for 12 years.
Yeah, no, I think that he probably got him on the cheap. He probably knows the system a little bit, and you can throw him in there, on a situational pass situation or whatever. Get a rotation, because that seems to be the kind of I know the Texans coach DeMeco Ryans.
DeMeco Ryans, yes. Thank you.
He comes from the 49ers. And I had a coach in Robert Saleh, who was a 49er guy. They love to stockpile defensive ends. They can't have enough. It's like they got 20 of them, and so I think it's just, hey, we put him in there. You got to lead, and they're throwing it around. We need a guy to get a rest. Who better than to send out, the guy, this freakish guy who can maybe get in there and make a sack or two. If they got 6 sacks from him in a season where he's a backup, their money was well spent as far as they're concerned. I would bet, but any 49er team or they love defensive ends.
Yeah, I would guess he's a third down guy. He's gonna, he'll have his snaps limited, and he'll be only in pass rushing situations at this point in his career. Interesting retirement came down the wire on Monday. Saints wide receiver Jalen Polk, who was originally drafted 37th overall in the second round by the Patriots a couple of years ago, announced his retirement at the age of 24. We're seeing guys retire a lot sooner, but 24, Johnny's basically played 1 year in the league.
Yeah, and where college did he come from? Do you recall? Is he an Arizona State guy?
Yeah, somewhere out west. I want to say Washington.
He's an out west guy. Yeah. So irregardless of that, if you don't have the desire to play, if you're doubting yourself at 24, get out. Because you're wasting your time. You're wasting the team's time. I would be, looking at the situation as it is. I mean, the Saints lost almost a slot for a number one draft pick. He
Mhm.
must have been. How bad was he last year? That from attitude or whatever it may be.
No,
That he just,
he was on IR.
but
He was on
still,
IR with his
they
shoulder.
traded him as out of IR. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
So there must have been some things that with him personal, his personality or whatever that wasn't adding up for him to leave the game at that age. He must not have been committed to the process. And there you go. You're
Well,
out
that's
of
a
the
Mike
league.
Vrabel thing. That's definitely a Mike Vrabel thing. So he
Yeah.
probably got picked out there. So preseason action does begin Thursday night. We're about a little more than 72 hours away from seeing guys with helmets and shoulder pads. We won't see any starters. It's Arizona. It's Carolina. It's the Hall of Fame game. Full preseason action will commence the week after. We are the 941 Sports Zone, and we're presented by Carroll GMC. Sale, selection, experience what car buying should be. Who can make you drive with a smile? Carroll can. See Monty Jacobs and the gang on the beautiful island of Venice. Some late news came down today, John, in college football.
I saw it.
Notre Dame and USC right back at it. So they canceled things after last year's game. But apparently the pressure was such that they're going to start a 4-year deal in 2030. And that includes 2 of those games being lid lifters.
Yeah.
So season openers. But because of that, Indiana has decided to step away from their proposed 2-year contract with Notre Dame in 30 and 31. They were supposed to be the season opener. And when USC came back, calling Indiana said, we'll find somebody else to play. Interesting. I don't know why Indiana would want to bow out. Why can't you be on that schedule? I mean, it's an in-state rivalry. I think that's interesting.
No, this is not it. I'm not picking on Indiana per se.
Mm-hmm.
For they had a great year. What was their non-conference schedule last last year?
Well, it's weaker this year.
Correct.
It's weaker this year.
Not saying that. It's just out there. They you take on those games early on, the Notre Dame game or whatever, LSU, Clemson, all these big games. Maybe you don't want to have that as your lid lifter, like you said. Okay, maybe you don't want that one. Maybe Cignetti is saying, look, for as much as we're doing great right now, the long-term prognosis is probably we may fall back to the middle of the Big Ten. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think that way. But would you rather play a Notre Dame game 1 to start your season off, or would you rather play Ohio University or Bowling Green or whatever it may be, right? I think that they would prefer that to start their season than which a lot of teams do. Yeah, that's not an uncommon thing. So maybe second thoughts on that. Maybe that'll help them out. And maybe they're not about the Big Ten's tough enough. I don't need to be scheduling everybody else all over the country. And it's going to come down to making the playoffs. And there's 12 teams right now, not 24 or not 16, but there's 12. And you got conference champions. You got the best of the rest slot there. And so maybe he's looking at it and saying, I'm better suited to be in the top 12 if I don't play some crazy non-conference schedule. So I think that's what he's thinking.
Okay. Well, a lot of people are still upset with Notre Dame too for not having the kind of schedule that they are supposed to have. But they're in an interesting situation this year, John. And I'm hoping to get my buddy from Austin, Texas on next week so we can talk a lot of college football and preview the season. But Notre Dame is in an interesting predicament because they're going to have, in all likelihood, a gaudy record. But how many losses can they afford? Because they really only have, what is it? They have Miami. They have SMU. I think there's one more decent game
Rich,
on their schedule.
I
Go
was,
ahead.
I was going to ask you a question, and it's like you're almost answering it right now.
Mhm.
What do you think about Notre Dame and where they sit right now in the confluence of these conferences and everything else? Notre Dame is what, on an island by themselves still? Would you not say that that's a problem with Notre Dame, that
Yeah.
their schedule is going to be an issue every year? And why is that? Why is that? They refuse to be in a conference. Okay.
Yep.
If you're going to be thought of, I mean, think about this. Everybody, there's all these different concessions made to Notre Dame. Hey, if you do this, Notre Dame gets in, or whatever it may be. Notre Dame needs to finally realize that they are not the barometer for all that's well in college or bad in college football. They're not. They're just not. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, they're going to play USC because they know they have to. They have to, not
Right.
just because of the rivalry and all the history that goes along with it. If they don't, they're in obscurity. I don't care if they show a game on 10 networks. And all Notre Dame has done for the last 25 years is cash checks.
Yeah.
And then they complain about, oh, we got overlooked. Oh, we got this. Yeah, you can't have Army, Navy, and Air Force be the three best teams on your schedule. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. You've got an affiliation with the ACC. You have a natural geographic situation with the Big Ten. You fit into so many spots, but you won't do it. Why is
your cake and eat it too? You want to have your cake and eat it too,
right?
so to speak.
So
Yep.
I don't. If when they didn't get in, boo hoo. You could, whatever. I get it, but what you expect was going to happen. You make the schedule. You dictate the terms to everybody else. The NCAA, the conferences. Nope. Not doing it. We're doing what we want to do. We want to make sure we get the Louisville Notre Dame game on at 4:30 on NBC. So it's right in the middle of every other game because we want to show that we're more important than everybody else. We're going to steal everybody away at halftime from the 3:30 game, and no one's going to watch the beginning of the 7:00 game. So because we're going to be in some weird middle of everything kind of schedule. No, what they're going to find out one day is they're going to wake up and say, where'd everybody go? Nobody cares anymore. Notre Dame isn't that relevant. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
By the way, late last week, and I didn't add this in the rundown, but late last week, there were some concessions made, and the Big Ten and the SEC are now behind the bill that is in the Senate to I guess for lack of a better term, college football, the 5 for 5, all that stuff.
Right.
As a judge, basically last week said, listen, all you folks that are in the 2022 class that did your 4 years, guess what? You get another year. And that's a pretty big blow to the NCAA. So they want to try to get this bill through, and the SEC and the Big Ten saying, yes, we'll go ahead and put our backing because they made a couple of tweaks. The college football is in a real flux right now, at least in my opinion.
Like I told you, I said, what do I hear when I hear Greg Sankey talking? Blah, 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 money. Blah, 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 money. Okay. Yeah. So the idea that he would sort of want to sort of buck the system in regard about what they're trying to do on Congress was dumb, because it's a PR thing. It's not going to affect his money, what they're doing. He was trying to kind of, I guess, finagle something out of it, or whatever tweak he wanted or whatever. But look, all this is about is how much money everybody's getting from the teams to the university, to the coaches, university players, whatever. It's all about that's all it's about. And trying to get the rules right so that everybody's playing on the same playing field. It's a sad situation that the Congress is to get involved to get it done, and the NCAA and these conferences can't get together and figure it out themselves. However, if this is the case and it becomes it's put in stone with this kind of scenario, maybe it stops people from sort of wanting to pick away at it or do whatever they're going to do. college football is one of the most. I love college football.
I do too.
Once we get past all this talk and you watch it, it's fantastic. The visuals of it, everything is great. There's always fantastic games. Every weekend there's some next generational game or whatever else it is. Rivalries, young people. It's great. But they've got to get their act together, because if they don't, there's going to be it's going to be a real ugly situation, with the fan bases sort of maybe not wanting to buy into some of the buy-in they're wanting you to be involved in. And if they screw up the playoff system, that's where it's at, it's a pretty decent number. But if they do something stupid like go to 24 teams, it's going to make the season watered down. They got to really be careful what they do with their product. It can be a problem in the short term.
The other thing I think they need to do is to make the playoffs a little more precise. Right now, it's 8 weeks, marathon almost. The championship game next year is January 25th. John, that's way too late. Way too late.
Yeah, they and again, a couple of years ago, what was the argument? Oh, these kids, they got finals and everything else.
Yes.
No, it wasn't about that. It was about the right amount of money that they needed to get for it. Yeah. Once they got it all figured out, they'll play in March. They wouldn't care.
Right.
But that I get it. But no, I'm hopeful that this gets worked out. I'm hopeful that there's that the competition sort of balances itself out, like with the NFL. The schedule that's kind of balanced out. There's not one team who's significantly worse scheduled than others. I hope that all gets balanced out, so there is no question as to who's best or who's not, like that kind of a thing. I hope that all gets worked out. And at that point, Rich, if there's people willing to pay, some potato chip company or a beer company wants to give billions of dollars to the NCAA for what they're doing, that's capitalism, man. If they're doing it, then by all means, I have no argument. I don't worry. I don't worry about advertising money, because that's money that they get a return on their investment. And if as long as it's being divvied out and handled in a way that's fair to everybody, then great. Go get $1 trillion in advertising money. I don't care. It's great.
Well, right now it's the 12-24 thing comes down to, ESPN controls things if there's 12 teams.
Right.
And by the way, who's their conference? That would be the SEC. And if they get 24 in the Big Ten, that opens everything back to bidding. And of course, who wants to be at the top of the bidding there? That would be Fox. So there's a long way to go on this thing. So should be very interesting. All right.
Yeah.
You and I took the step of a couple of weeks off for the locks of the week. I think we'll take one more week off. We'll start getting some games in next week, and I think we'll be able to maybe do some things.
I tried to find something that I could put as a lock of the week. I'm like, do I go Arizona, Carolina? How do you with no starters? Is there even a line on that in Vegas, by the way?
Of course there is. There's a line on anything. And I'll get you that line in just a second here, but but yeah, you can't.
I mean, that's a total coin flip.
It's actually not. It's it is, I guess. The Panthers are a 1.5 favorite.
Okay. So
over the Cardinals. Yeah, it's a like you say, it's a coin flip, if you will.
But there really isn't nothing you can bet on.
Whose scrubs are better than whose scrubs, right? But next week we'll have high school. We'll have some NFL preseason action.
We got all kinds of stuff going on.
Yep. So look forward to that. All right, it's time to close the show with what's bugging me. And John, you want to?
Sure.
Box, or
I'll go first.
You go first.
Yeah, we're pretty baseball heavy today, and rightfully so. A lot of things going on. So my bugging me has a little to do with baseball. Not so much baseball in the field, but it's baseball how it's how to put it, presented, and especially with these like right now with going through the trade deadline and everything else. How it's so funny to me that these pundits will come on, and I'm not talking about pundits, just ESPN, or MLB Network or whatever. But people even in the local in the Tampa area or whatever, and they're talking about how concerned they are about some pitcher in Double-A that's getting shipped off, so you have a chance to win a championship. Okay, so you're going to get a piece to a puzzle. Look, guys, I appreciate that somebody knows the roster of the Birmingham team or whatever it may be. I think that's fantastic. I'm but it doesn't really make a difference in the long run. That piece of that puzzle can be replaced very easily. Okay. You can get another prospect. You have a draft every single year. You have all different stuff. There's 25 guys on the major league roster, right, Rich? Am I wrong there? Am I right?
It's 25, 26, depending on the day.
220, 221, whatever you need, right? So anyway, 6'7", 6'7". So anyway, but to be that much passion and angst because some guy is 10-2, and going to the Double-A All-Star game, I don't care. There's got to be more time in your to fill in spaces. There'll be other things in life than to know that. And if that's your passion, great. But everybody wants to be that. Oh, well, this is a great deal because this guy. No. These are moving pieces. They're all going to move around. Guess what? Maybe the guy who's 31st prospect was on his way to being the 6th best one. Who knows? Okay. Guys are going to drop out. They're going to quit. They're going to get traded. And those numbers are going to change. Look, it's about the 25 in the major leagues. Minor league baseball, Rich, and I say this, it's dying. It's a dying situation. You know what I'm saying? How many guys over the years were in minor league let's say the Rays, how many minor league players do they have in their farm system? Hundreds
Yeah,
of
well, of
players?
course. There's like 4 or 5 teams. Yeah.
Not anymore. They don't have hundreds anymore. You know what I mean? Because I don't know the purpose that it served. Entertainment value, yes, but what the big leagues were getting out of it, I don't know. If a guy is drafted in the Major League Baseball draft and he's coming off a college team, he's going to spend a year or a couple weeks in A ball, just kind of getting himself acclimated to the team and whatever else. But if he's good enough, he's shooting up the ladder. He ain't hanging out in Double-A. So I don't know, and I don't even know at this point, Rich, if you're a Double-A baseball player and you're not a top 50 prospect in your team, what are you making a living? You know what I'm saying? And who's paying you? It's hard. And I'm not trying to be anti-baseball, but I think it's a dying breed. I think you're going to have eventually maybe a Double-A and a Single-A, maybe 3 teams, maybe not even that many, depending on, because what's the cost involved in it is a lot. And do you really need that many players to be, figuring out who the next 25 are going to be? I don't think you do. And to be that worried about a prospect, like I said, makes it too much. And it just bugs me to hear all this angst over, we just lost this guy. No. Worry about who you got and what it's going to do. Don't worry about the cost associated with it. I'm looking at it right now. The Orioles got, in return, a catcher and 4 prospects. There's no names attached to that. It's just 4 prospects. That's all it says. Why? I think it's just, if you love it, great, but it's just too much. It's just too much to be worried about. That's it.
All right. Well, what's bugging me is something that we talked about just about every week, right up until a couple of weeks ago. And now it's not really talked about because, well, we're watching the last of a couple of tournaments going by in golf. Talking about and the last 2 weeks we've had some great stories again. Yesterday, Michael Thorbjornsen, is that how you say it? Thorbjornsen?
Yes.
Shot 63 and he won what's probably going to be the last Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit. Yeah. Because that's, I'm sure, one of the tournaments that's going by the wayside, or at the very least, it's going to be on that minor league tour, which again, Somebody needs to explain this to me. The major league, minor league tour. I mean, seriously. And then 2 weeks ago, we had the kid from Auburn, and I to say his name, Jackson Koivin.
It's
Is
it.
that how you say it?
Yep.
Koivin?
Yep.
Actually, in his third pro tournament, got a win. He went pro. And oh, by the way, he beat what's the guy's name again? Oh,
Scotty
Scheffler. Scotty
Scheffler.
Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler was breathing down his neck, and he just kept making putt after putt. But I mean, they're two great stories. Those are two tournaments that are well attended in Detroit and the 3M in the Twin Cities area. And these are two tournaments that are going by the wayside. They're gone. I don't like what's going on in golf right now. I really don't.
Well,
they're gonna be you're gonna have even a bigger divide of the haves and the have-nots. I mean, I thought there was the Corn Ferry Tour that would be kind of that secondary tour. Now, what's that going to be? Is that going to be like guys that are 200 to 350? I don't know. Go ahead.
You're right. There's, and then there's other tours. Asian tour, Central American tour, whatever you call it.
DP tour, right?
So what happens, I think, Rich, though, is that when you have, let's say, we know we have 4 majors and we have the Players Championship. Okay,
right.
So on those weekends that the top players are playing for these championships, there's an opportunity for the other guys, the minor leagues, to keep playing tournaments like maybe in Detroit, or sometimes I know they go to Puerto Rico to play and they do different stuff in different parts of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a little bit of it. I get what you're saying. I think you're going to do some of these tournaments. And you see it with the world, with the World Classic ones where they play at Trump or they play in Mexico. Those tournaments are no cut. 70 guys make it and they play. And again, those are another 4 weekends where you're not getting the minor league guys. So I think what's happening, maybe these guys who are trying to make their way up the ladder, we can give them more opportunities to win or get in a winning position instead of being dominated by the top 30 guys at this particular point. Now, does that mean they're going to get better quicker? I don't know. I get it. But I think also what it does, Rich, is it takes that prize money and it stacks it up on the winner on the other side. The money that the top tier guys are going to get are going to be more and more because there's going to be less and less advertising and sponsorship money going in.
Right.
It's going to go into more of these concentrated tournaments. So if you want to say this might be the one thing that LIV affected the PGA with the most, the rescheduling of these tournaments and whatnot, because LIV came out of the gate saying, "Oh, we're only playing 14 or whatever they said, and we're not going to do this." Well, that was a lie, and they had them traveling all over the world to play in these tournaments. Mm-hmm. Now they can concentrate it down to the main guys. It is interesting. I don't know. Nothing is set in stone. It can always change. But continue what you were saying, that this is sort of, what do you think can happen to it at this point?
And again, having, I think the PGA needs to go back to August. We got to have something to have interest in.
Yeah.
And I know the network's not going to, because the numbers are better earlier in the year. And that's what, a CBS tournament, usually, the PGA.
Yes.
So, they're going to be like, well, no, it's good where it's at. So,
well, that one move made a gigantic difference in the calendar. Gigantic difference.
Huge.
And so that was a really big deal. I'd be interested to see, Rich, how many tournaments Scotty played this year. And and I just say Scotty because he's the benchmark. Do you think he played 15, 16 tournaments this year? Maybe. I don't know. But he might, if he's playing 15 or 16 tournaments and they're concentrating that down into a mid-February to mid-August situation. I mean, he's not playing every week. Who
Right.
knows? Who knows? But no, you're right. But you know what? Somehow or another, the NFL will figure out a way to fill that void, Rich. If you're looking for things to watch, all of a sudden it'll be the third week in July, and the NFL will have some sort of entertainment to put on the TV set for you, and it'll carry you right to the preseason.
I guess. But by the way, Scotty's played in 17 tournaments so far this
17.
year,
So
which
again,
is actually a good number.
and he added one at the end because he wasn't playing well when he
Right.
played a week before last. So
Right,
he did
in
he did
Minnesota.
throw himself into that one as well. So we'll see. I think you are right though. It is sad that Detroit did a great job with that golf course. It
Yeah.
seemed like and now it's going to be it's not
Minnesota,
gonna
and the
be there.
crowds were monstrous. They were huge.
Right.
So
And
that's
even
the part
talked
to me
about-
is
They've talked about taking from the Florida swing. They're talking about taking one of those tournaments out, Valspar or over on the East Coast.
right, the Palm Beach one. Yep.
And who has more energy behind him or strength. So it's of course it's the Bear Claws. It's Nicholas. He's he's got the insight, and
Plus,
by
a
the
lot
way,
of players live over there.
right. And Valspar is a tough course, but visually it's not. It's a little weird, and it's the course itself with all the trees cannot sometimes look very well. It doesn't. It's not a you play on that on that golf course. You're like, this doesn't feel like it's like a PGA course. Now
Yeah.
it doesn't look that way, but it plays that way. Trust me. You're like, oof, it can tear you up.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the 941 Sports Zone, our 50th edition, which means 2 weeks from now we'll have our 1-year anniversary. That's right.
Should we have cake?
Yeah, we could probably get a cake. We could probably do something like that. But next week, like I said, I'm trying to set it up where we might be able to do a full-fledged college football preview because I think once we get into the high school season, which starts literally on the 14th, because Lemon Bay's game with Hardy is an actual game, and of course our game of the week is Welland Park in Northport. We're gonna be focusing on that a lot. So let's. I'm going to see if we can make this happen. I've reached out to my buddy, and we'll see if he's willing to play ball with us. But anyway, that'll do it. Hopefully, it'll stop raining in both Boston and Tampa long enough that we can get out on the golf course if we want to. But anyway, that'll do it. For John, Rained Out Masoni, I'm Spitz. And until next Monday, go Rays, go Bucks, go everybody. So long, everybody.